Welcome to deep, dark depths, where reality blurs with nightmares and the shadows hide secrets that are waiting to consume you. Tonight, we explore three distinct tales of true horror, proving that sometimes the scariest monsters are actually people living among us. Our first harrowing tale takes us deep into the silent woods, where a man sought peace but found only pure terror. Needing a break from the stress of city life, he decided to go camping alone, far away from civilization and noise. The crackling fire was meant to be soothing, but as darkness fell, the silence of the forest became heavy and oppressive. He suddenly felt a prickling sensation on his neck, an instinctual warning that he was no longer alone in these woods. He scanned the perimeter, straining his eyes against the gloom, but saw nothing except the ancient trees swaying in the wind. A loud snap echoed through the clearing, far too heavy to be a small animal, freezing the blood in his veins. He called out into the darkness, hoping for a response from a fellow camper, but the only answer was a giggle. Hidden behind a massive oak, a figure stood perfectly still, watching him with a wide, unnatural grin that defied all logic. The stranger did not speak at first, merely tilting his head while continuing to stare with eyes devoid of any humanity. Panic set in as the realization hit him. This was not a hiker, but a predator who had found his prey. The intruder finally broke the silence with a voice that sounded like grinding gravel, whispering threats that chilled the night air. He pointed a dirty finger at the nylon shelter and hissed, saying that the tent would soon become his permanent coffin. Adrenaline flooded his system, overriding all thought as he turned and sprinted blindly into the dense, unforgiving woods for survival. Behind him, heavy footsteps thudded against the earth, accompanied by that same manic laughter echoing through the trees. Getting closer, he stumbled over a root, crashing to the ground, scrambling desperately to get back up before the shadow could reach him. Lunging forward, he spotted his vehicle parked on the logging road, a metal fortress that promised safety from the madness outside. His fumbling fingers struggled with the keys, every second feeling like an eternity as the footsteps behind him grew incredibly loud. He threw himself inside and locked the door just as a fist slammed against the glass, shattering the night's silence. The stalker pressed his face against the window, fogging the glass with his breath, still smiling that horrific, unhinged smile. With a scream of terror, he floored the gas pedal, the tires screeching as the car tore away from the campsite. Looking back in the mirror, he saw the figure standing calmly in the red glow of the taillights, simply waving goodbye. He drove for hours without stopping. The image of that smiling face burned permanently into his mind, haunting his every dream. He never returned to the woods again. But sometimes, late at night, he still hears that scratching on his bedroom window. Our second story transports us to the wind-swept coast of Ireland, to a place known as the most haunted house there. This is Loftus Hall, a mansion shrouded in dark legends and a history that has terrified locals for centuries. The legend dates back to the 18th century, during a stormy night when a mysterious stranger arrived, seeking shelter and warmth. He was charming and skilled, quickly captivating the family, especially young Anne Tottenham, who found herself drawn to his dark charisma. During the game, Anne dropped a card on the floor and bent down to retrieve it, flancing under the table. What she saw froze her soul. Where the stranger's feet should have been, there were the cloven hooves of a beast Her scream pierced the night as she exposed his true nature, causing the stranger to reveal his demonic form in anger. With a thunderous roar, he shot through the ceiling like a ball of fire, leaving behind a hole that could never be repaired. Anne never recovered from the shock. She spent the rest of her life locked away in the tapestry room, insane. Years later, a man named Jacob visited the hall as a 9-year-old boy, unaware of the evil that still lingered there. While on a guided tour, young Jacob fell behind the group, wandering near the room where Anne had spent her final days. He felt a sudden drop in temperature and an overwhelming urge to look toward the staircase that led to the forbidden upper floors. There, standing silently on the landing, was a pale woman in a long dress, staring down at him with sorrowful eyes. He blinked, and she was gone. But the feeling of immense sadness and dread remained heavy on his young shoulders. He ran back to his parents, too terrified to speak of what he saw, knowing he had met the ghost of Anne Tottenham. To this day, visitors claim the hole in the ceiling cannot be fixed, and the restless spirit of Anne still walks the halls. Loftus Hall stands as a grim reminder that when you invite the devil in, he may never truly leave your home. Some places hold memories, but others hold prisoners. Now, we move from the supernatural to a horror that is disturbingly human. Our final story takes place in a busy call center, a mundane setting that became the backdrop for a psychological nightmare. Amber was the new hire, a quiet woman who seemed normal at first, but soon began to display unsettling behavioral patterns. Her co-workers noticed she would stare for minutes at a time, her eyes locking onto people with a predatory intensity. Small incidents began to pile up. Aggressive outbursts on calls, and strange, violent drawings left carelessly on her desk. One night, while walking to his car, the narrator noticed a figure standing motionless under a flickering street lamp. It was Amber, waiting in the dark, not going to her own car, but simply watching him leave with a cold expression. The behavior escalated quickly. She would appear silently behind people, listening to private conversations without making a sound. Finally, she cornered him in the break room, her demeanor shifting from quiet to manic as she began to confess dark thoughts. She calmly admitted that she struggled to control violent urges, describing in detail how she fantasized about hurting people. He sat frozen in terror, realizing this wasn't a joke. He was sitting across from a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. She laughed it off as if it were normal, but the dead look in her eyes told a completely different story. He reported her to management immediately, fearing for his safety and the safety of everyone else in that building. Amber was let go that same day, escorted out by security, but she left with a smile that promised unfinished business. For weeks, he would see her car parked across the street, watching the building, waiting for a chance that, thankfully, never came. She eventually vanished, but the fear she instilled remains. A reminder that danger can sit right at the desk next to you. From the stalker in the woods to the demons of the past and the psychopaths of the present, horror is everywhere. These stories serve as a warning to always trust your instincts, for the line between safety and danger is incredibly thin. We often think we are safe, but in the deep, dark depths of the world, something is always watching and waiting. If you ever find yourself alone in the woods, listen closely to the silence. It might just be holding its breath. If you visit old places, remember that history is not always dead. Sometimes it is just waiting for a new visitor and look closely at the people around you. You never truly know what darkness lies behind a polite, everyday smile. The world is full of mysteries that defy explanation, and we have only scratched the surface of what lies beneath. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the macabre. We hope these tales stay with you long after watching. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a descent into darkness. Share your own terrifying experiences in the comments below. We read every single story, and yours might be featured next. Time is fleeting, and the night is long. Make sure you lock your doors and check the back seat of your car, because you never know when a story you hear on the internet might become your own terrifying reality to live through. Sleep well tonight if you can. And remember, the shadows in the corner of your room are not always empty. This has been a production of Deep Dark Depths. We bring the horror to you, one true story at a time. Click on one of the videos on your screen now to continue your journey into the unknown and the unexplained. Until next time, keep your lights on and your eyes open. The deep, dark depths are waiting for your return. Thank you for watching Deep Dark Depths. Stay safe in the light, for the darkness is always watching you. Good night.